Hey everybody, and Tony here with the review of Paranoia Agent, known in Japanese as Moso Dairinin, which first aired in Japan from February 2 to May 17, 2004 on the Wow Wow Network, and aired in the USA a year later on Cartoon Network's Adult Swim from May 29, 2005 to August 21 of that same year. The show was created, written, and directed by the late, great Satoshi Kon, who also wrote a novelization of this particular anime a couple of months after it premiered. It was produced by Masao Peshima. The co-writer was Seishi Minakami. The music was done by Susumu Hirasawa. The animation studio in charge was Madhouse. It was initially released by Genion, but has now been out of print and has been redistributed by UK's MBM Entertainment, and it starred the vocal talents of, on the Japanese side, Mamiko Noto, Haruko Momoe, Daisuke Sakaguchi, Shozo Izuka, and Toshiko Seki, and on the English side, we have Michelle Ruff, Carrie Savage, Sam Riegel, Michael McConney, and Liam O'Brien. I was first introduced to this anime by complete chance ever since I was a 16-year-old in second year high school. I first caught a couple of clips of Paranoia Agent on YouTube and was rather fascinated by this anime, but unfortunately I had to put it off for quite some time because of academic and personal priorities. It wasn't until a couple of years later did I watch a couple of reviews, most notably from Nyezu Otaku and the American Anime Otaku, and of course I even read them anime reviews entry on this particular anime and how much positivity it managed to garner. So I decided to give Paranoia Agent another try because I also love Satoshi Kon, not only as a creator, but also as a really fine artist, and I was completely immersed with the overall nature of the show. There are times this show can be quite complex, but Gon Sensei made sure that the ride was accessible from beginning to end, and it certainly was. It should be no surprise that Satoshi Kon's greatest forte definitely has to be psychological thriller, especially when you consider some of his masterpieces like Perfect Blue and even the surrealism that is Paprika. So since this is the month of Halloween, I decided to watch all 13 episodes of Paranoia Agent, and I was not disappointed in the slightest. Everything about it was really great from beginning to end, and it certainly left me feeling breathless. Story-wise, it's really engaging, it's quite complex, and it is quite fascinating in a lot of ways. It starts off like any other day in Tokyo with people talking on their cell phones and walking across the street doing everyday stuff. And then we see the young creator, Tsukiko Sagi, in her cubicle all alone trying to come up with a very new idea, which proves to be quite a challenge because Mellow Maromi is Japan's most famous mascot of all time. From his show to the merchandise he sells, he's pretty much become a national icon. It's not until one night that Tsukiko starts to feel the pressure of her job as an artist and as a creator that she walks home one dark night and she encounters a strange little boy on golden rollerblades with a crooked golden baseball bat, a red cap, and a creepy looking smile, who then smatters Tsukiko on the head. Enter detectives Ikari and Maniwa, who then interrogate Tsukiko who the assailant was. She doesn't really remember, but she can only recall golden roller skates, a golden crooked baseball bat, and of course, a creepy looking smile which kind of waned upon her. Thus begins the descent into madness, who little Slugger really is, and why he attacks people on their breaking point. So I'm not going to mince words here about the story. It's very engaging, it manages to leave you on the edge of your seat, and it manages to be very thought-provoking. And of course, it manages to tackle such psychological problems ranging from schizophrenia all the way up to dissociative personality disorder, to narcissism, and of course, family issues. There is a lot of great topics to talk about in this particular anime, and Kon-san and his crew made sure that each of these topics were handled with such care and a lot of understanding, and of course, a great amount of intelligence. There were some moments in which the anime did get a little bit filler-y around episodes 8, 9, and 10. Episode 8 has a trio of people who manage to get themselves in an online suicide chat, and then they meet each other in real life, who are then trying to do themselves in. The trio composes of a young cheery girl by the name of Kamome, a gentle giant known as Zebra, and an old man by the name of Fuyubachi, and they sort of become really good friends. Episode 9 focuses around a group of women who gossip about the origins of Little Slugger, and episode 10 mainly revolves around the trials and tribulations going on in the animation staff of Mellow Maromi. So even though these 3 episodes were a bit standalone and a bit filler-y, they still managed to be very engaging, of really fleshing out these characters, and they managed to make the ride really, really interesting from beginning to end. The final 3 episodes were really a major blast, and they managed to really build up to what is a very great climax. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but let's just say that the ending is really heart-wrenching, it's quite powerful, but at the same time, very satisfying. So overall, all 13 episodes managed to weave together a wonderful story. Yes, episodes 8, 9, and 10 were kind of filler-y, but it's all forgivable because when all is said and done, the story revolving Paranoia Agent was well woven from beginning to end, and it was certainly clear from beginning to end that it was going to be a thrilling ride. The animation was really well done, and it's quite realistic to look at, especially considering that it doesn't look like the typical anime style, with characters having big eyes and weirdly colored hair. In fact, the animation is quite well done. There are some caricatures to be found here and there, most notably with the cases of Akio Kawazu and Masami Hirokawa, but when all is said and done, the animation looks quite realistic on the human characters, and when it has to go into such a bizarre level, it managed to do so in a way that managed to really put me on the edge of my seat. There are times in which the animation can really be quite surreal, especially when it comes to the hallucinations of certain victims. And when it has to go surreal, it managed to do so in a way that is thrilling. So you have to leave it up to a studio like Madhouse for giving us such really interesting visuals, and of course, ones that managed to really put a lot of thrills and chills to the audience. The music is really magnificent. There is no doubt that Susumu Hirasawa composed such a great score. From the upbeat, catchy, and pretty weird opening all the way up to the gentle, quiet ending songs, there was no doubt that I was in for a major ride. The opening managed to be very thrilling, very upbeat, very catchy, and simply put, a crowning moment of awesome, especially when you have all the characters laughing their butts off as if though they're about to encounter some type of danger, but at the same time, they're just laughing at it, probably to show the overall insanity that we're about to get into. The ending song is quite the opposite, as it managed to show a certain gentle eeriness to the world of Maromi. And with both of these songs, I have to say they're a recommended listen. And there were also some pieces of background music which were also really awesome, like Yuuichi Daya's theme song, and of course, some of the moments in which the music manages to have this creepy and dark atmosphere. So overall, the music is absolutely amazing, with the opening and ending songs being the absolute standouts. The characters are equally as fascinating. Let's start off with Suki Kawasaki. She starts off the anime as a very quiet, timid, and shy girl who may be the creator of such a wonderful and popular mascot, but has nowadays kind of has a little bit of trouble trying to find out what would be the new style or the new creation or the new hit that might bring in the masses since Maromi is already such a popular figure. She maintains her quiet and subdued attitude all throughout the series, but as soon as the later episodes come marching in, more layers of her manage to unravel, and I dare not spoil each of them. So it's safe to say that Tsukiko is quite enigmatic as a person, all thanks to her subdued, quiet, and shy personality, but she's quite fascinating even though she doesn't really do that much, other than talk to her stuffed animal Maromi, and of course see a lot of these visions of what little Slugger is about to offer, and even get herself interrogated by both Maniwa and Ikari. What's an iconic anime like Paranoia Agent without the one and only Lil Slugger, aka Shonen Bato in Japanese? Lil Slugger is one of the most intriguing villains of this anime, mostly because he has this presence which makes you squirm, but makes you rather fascinated by who this enigma is. When one mentions his name, one has to also realize that he means business, especially when it comes to attacking people on their breaking point with the use of his crooked golden baseball bat. There is a lot of mysteries surrounding this particular character, and it's certainly one that makes him all the more fascinating and all the more terrifying. Detective Keiichi Ikari and Detective Mitsuhiro Maniwa are also really great characters as they manage to play off of each other so well. Detective Keiichi Ikari is older, a lot more stern, and is a lot more practical when it comes to the facts. He doesn't take any bullcrap, and he will definitely use his way of interrogation to really make you answer all of his questions. Even though he can be very stern and very strict, he does have his few funny moments, albeit in a deadpan kind of way, most specifically found in episode 5. In the Japanese version, he basically sings to himself a line of kagome kagome, and in the English dub, he sings a little version of Pop Goes the Weasel, the one that goes, "All around the mulberry bush, my partner chases a loony. I don't know what I'm doing here." I thought it was really hilarious, and he certainly sold that moment so well. He also has a very ill wife in the form of Misaya Ikari, who doesn't appear until episode 11. And she herself is also quite a fascinating character, because she has to go through a lot of things without her husband, and especially in terms of her health. And of course, her story is kind of tragic, and it does make you feel very sorry for her. Mitsuhiro Maniwa is the complete opposite to Ikari's more practical, more stern, and overall serious approach. Mitsuhiro Maniwa is a lot more out of the box in terms of his interrogation styles, and he's very open to all the possibilities that are presented, and he is just simply put a lot more open-minded than his partner. Sure, at times he can be a little bit on the crazy side, but he manages to complement Ikari so well. He manages to have a sense of open-mindedness, and he's a lot more outgoing, a lot more social, and of course he's also quite younger than Ikari, so he does have a little bit more flexibility in his arsenal. Maromi is definitely another interesting enigma. One such mind like Satoshi Kon can make something as cute, cuddly, and adorable as Maromi into something that's kind of creepy, especially when he talks to Tsukiko. He tries to be Tsukiko's really close companion, and he tries to make sure that Tsukiko is on the right track, as of course he is Tsukiko's mascot. So there's no doubt that the main characters are very fascinating, but the supporting characters are equally as fascinating. Akio Kawazu is a slimy and sleazy news reporter who wants to get the goods and all of the hot gossip on who Little Slugger is, and even a lot of tabloids. Sure, he is slimy and sleazy and an absolute piece of trash, but there's something kind of fascinating in the way he manages to be as a person. One such talent that he has is that he manages to mimic the voices of Tsukiko's co-workers flawlessly. Then we also have Yuuichi Daya, who starts off being the very popular kid, but is completely narcissistic. And even though he has a lot of exceptional grades and is popular and is talented in sports, his narcissism does take the best of him, even though he himself is blamed for being Little Slugger causing the attacks of Tsukiko and Akiokowazu. Does he have his world spiral as he feels like his classmates, his schoolmates, and even his teachers are all against him. On top of that, Yuichi Daya is also a candidate for running for school president. Enter Shogo Ushiyama, a fat country kid who tries to befriend Yuichi, yet he himself is also a victim of Little Slugger. Shogo is a very kind-hearted and smart and really likable person, even though he kind of pales in the athleticism department. He tries to be Yuichi's best friend, but because of Yuichi's overall narcissism, he kind of pushes him away. We also have Yuichi's tutor in the form of Harumi Chono. Harumi Chono is also very interesting as a character because she also suffers from dissociative personality disorder. By day, she is a sweet, kind, and caring tutor who basically wants to see the best in her students and encourages them to do very well, not only in their academics, but also in terms of their ethics. By night, she is a foul-mouthed, crass, and overall mean person in the form of the prostitute Maria. Both Harumi and Maria communicate with each other via answering machine, and their personalities manage to have a constant clash with each other, with Harumi wanting to live a happily married life, and Maria thinking that Harumi is the fake and should accept her fate as Maria, thus proving herself that she is the real deal, whereas Harumi is the fake. So there is this constant battle of personalities and constant mental battle that these two have, which make her story all the more fascinating. Masami Hirokawa is a dirty cop who on the outside seems like he's an upstanding member of society, but behind closed doors, he is pretty sleazy. He gets himself involved with Yakuza deals, mostly owing them a debt worth 2 million yen, and if he can't pay them that said fee, he will end up having an increase, which might end up being 5 million yen. And of course, he sleeps with a lot of women. And of course, he's a voyeur to his own daughter, Taeko. He does suffer from schizophrenia, stating that he has kind of gained inspiration from a comic book about a vigilante who wants to rescue his woman, and he tries to do all these dirty deeds so that he can pay the money not only for his house, but also for the Yakuza. Enter his daughter, Taeko, who has also suffered from her father's, and she basically cannot stand him anymore, so she runs away from home because he also planted a camera in her room, thus making her realize that her father, even though she used to be so close to him, was kind of lusting after her, thus causing a lot of resentment to happen between her and her father. And even though episode 8 was a bit of a fillery episode, the trio composed of Kamome, Fuyubachi, and Zebra managed to be very, very fantastic, as they are basically like a little family of their own. Kamome is an energetic and perky Genki girl who just seems to have a lot of fun with both Fuyubachi and Zebra. She has an infectiously positive attitude, and she just wants to join them in their little suicide pact. Zebra basically functions as the team big bro, as his gentle giant nature and his overall loving personality make him such a very welcome addition to the trio. He's also gay, as he once had a male lover on his side, but let's just say that the male lover kind of called it off between him. Fuyubachi basically functions as the team grandpa, with him being the oldest member of the group, and of course, his overall reliance on his pills. In episode 10, we have Naoyuki Saruta and Oda Nobunaga. With Naoyuki Saruta, he's basically the butt monkey of the Mellow Maromi group, as he often gets himself into a lot of trouble and he constantly messes up. With his boss, Oda Nobunaga, he constantly scolds him for the tiniest of mess ups, and he will not tolerate any failure whatsoever. So, overall, the characters managed to be so fascinating and so interesting, yet also quite realistic in their own special ways. The voice acting is also very well done in both the Japanese and English tracks. Mamiko Noto manages to give Tsukiko's overall enigmatic nature, all thanks to that soft and breathy soprano voice, which she has been very well known for, and she also manages to make Tsukiko a very interesting and fascinating enigma. Michelle Ruff also uses that softness and breathiness in her voice to give Tsukiko's overall introversion, and she manages to also give her spin on Tsukiko very well. And when all is said and done, both Mamiko Noto and Michelle Ruff did very amazing jobs bringing this introvert of a character to life, making her have all of these nuances and making her incredibly likable, even though she can be quite enigmatic and extremely withdrawn as a character. Daisuke Sakaguchi and Sam Riegel both managed to make Lil Slugger a disturbing enigma, but they also managed to make Makoto Kosuka a pretty fun character. With Daisuke Sakaguchi, he does manage to find the few human elements found in Lil Slugger, making his characterization all the more multidimensional and his performance that way as well. And of course, Sam Riegel does bring in the darker aspects to Lil Slugger and makes him ideally creepy, and he will definitely make your skin crawl when you hear his voice in the most positive way. Shozo Izuka brings in Ikari's gruff nature so well, all helped with his rumbling and round and rough sounding basso voice. And the same thing I can say about Michael Makani, who also gives him that gruff exterior found in his voice, and he does make Ikari very interesting as a character, and he basically makes him so alive in his portrayal, which should be no surprise as both Shozo Izuka and Michael Makani are very well known for playing all of these big guy roles, the ones that are basically large and in charge, and they're very well known for playing a lot of older men with a lot of experience, but are nonetheless extremely gruff. Toshihiko Seki and Liam O'Brien do amazing jobs as Maniwa. With Toshihiko Seki, he managed to make Maniwa quite soft-spoken, very emphatic, and he has that overall charm to make Maniwa come alive as a character, and he does it so well, complete with that slight amount of passion that he has in his voice. And with Liam O'Brien, he makes him all the more passionate, all the more intrigued, and all the more interesting and so alive as a character, thus juxtaposing Maniwa's soft-spoken nature with his more outspoken, extremely passionate, and overall vocal nature. So both performances done by Toshihiko Seki and Liam O'Brien were very masterful. In terms of both Haruko Momoe and Carrie Savage as Maromi, the therapy dog, they both had their very interesting spins on this character. With Haruko Momoe, yes, her voice is very adorable, and she does bring in a sense of cuteness and cuddliness to this role, but she also brings in her subtle sense of menace to this character, mostly because Maromi does cling on to Tsukiko quite tightly, and he does want to make sure that he protects her so well, but there's also an underlying creepiness which Haruko Momoe managed to do so well. With Carrie Savage, it's slightly more cartoonish in her execution. Yes, she manages to keep that cuteness and that cuddliness in her voice, and she does make Maromi slightly more peppy and bubbly, but there are times I do find her voice to be a little bit more cartoony than that of Haruko Momoe's more natural delivery. So there's no doubt that when you have really great stars for the main cast, that it's going to be an amazing job. I also have to give major kudos to the voice actors for the supporting characters. You have Ryuji Sakaichi and William Frederick Knight, who managed to make the old man very cryptic and very interesting as a character, and nonetheless managed to give their own interesting spins on the character. Hisako Kyoda and Melora Hart, who managed to make the old woman equally as enigmatic as she is interesting. Kazue Komiya and Melody Spevek, who make Misai Ikari not only a suffering woman, but also a woman who has a fair amount of strength in her system, even though Spevek's acting style does tend to be a little bit more stage acty than the natural delivery of that of Komiya-san's. Kenji Utsumi and Doug Stone also give life to Akio Kawazu's slimy and sleazy nature, with their guttural voices making sure that Akio Kawazu is as sleazy and as slimy yet interesting as he is as a character. Mayumi Yamaguchi and Johnny Young Bosch managed to bring in Ichi's narcissistic, punkish, and bratty attitude to great use. With Mayumi Yamaguchi, she is no stranger to voicing boys. She manages to bring in a lot of that punkishness found in Ichi's attitude, and she manages to make her portrayal of him come alive. With Johnny Young Bosch, he does bring in a lot of great expression to Ichi, making him come alive as a character. Makoto Tsumura and Steve Bendick do very great jobs giving life to Shogo's teddy bear-like personality and his overall caring nature. Kotono Mitsuishi and Erica Schaffer do amazing jobs making Harumi a pretty tortured soul, and also making Maria a crass and loudmouth, outspoken character. But I also have to give it to Kotono Mitsuishi for her portrayal as both Harumi and Maria, because for a lot of us anime fans, she's mostly been well known for voicing Sailor Moon, and to hear someone like Mitsuishi-san voicing a more mature woman, which is not the first time, as she's also voiced Gracia Hughes in the 2003 adaptation of Full Metal Alchemist, and of course Kayako from Ghost Stories, she definitely managed to prove herself to be a very versatile voice actress. And she's one of the very few people who definitely deserves the title of Woman with 1,000 Voices. And her performance as both Harumi and Maria come to life. Erica Schaffer also does a great job as she manages to interplay between Harumi's introversive and sweet nature with Maria's more outgoing and crass personality. Toshihiko Nakajima and Dean Bristow also bring life to Masami Hirokawa's dirty cop attitude, though also bringing in a lot of nuances to make this character very interesting. And they definitely had a lot of fun bringing this dirty cop to life. In terms of both Nana Mizuki's and Carrie Walgren's portrayals as Taeko, they definitely did a great job in making Taeko a pretty tortured soul and making her come alive as a character. And they proved themselves to be very wonderful and expressive voice actresses. Both Mina Tominaga and Stephanie Shea do great jobs making Kamome's Genki Girl personality come to life. Kiyoshi Kawakubo and Doug Stone also do fine jobs with making Fuyubachi come alive as the wise old man. And lest I forget about Yasunori Matsumoto and Patrick Seitz, who did amazing jobs bringing out Zebra's gentle giant personality. And this is not the only time that Patrick Seitz has found himself pairing up with Stephanie Shea, as they were also in Koi Kaze. We also had such amazing performances from the Japanese dub by Akio Suyama, Daiki Nakamura, who also brought in Oda Nobunaga's domineering personality to life, Hiroyuki Yoshino, who also did a great job at making Saruta a long-suffering butt monkey, Motoko Komai, Keiji Fujiwara, and of course, the late, great Daisuke Gori and Tomoko Kawakami, who had small yet pretty important roles. And on the English side, we also had such amazing performances by Kim Strauss, Jonathan C. Osborne, Kirk Thornton, Jessica Stone, and Hunter Mackenzie Austin. So overall, Paranoia Agent is a definite must-watch. Whether you watch this in sub or dub, you will definitely get a great experience, story-wise, character-wise, and of course, music-wise, in either language. Everyone did an amazing job, from the voice actors, to the creative staff, to the animators who made this iconic anime come alive, and of course, everything was well woven from beginning to end. So you know what I'm going to give this anime. A well-deserved 5 out of 5 stars. This is a definite must-watch for any fan of Satoshi Kon or for any fan of anime in general. And for those of you who watch this particular anime, whether it be on Cartoon Network's Adult Swim or on YouTube or any place else, what did you think of it? Did you really love this anime with a passion? Did you feel like there was something from the story, to the animation, to the music, to the characters, to the voice acting that stood out to you so much? Or did you feel like there was something that just didn't really hold up? Comment below and let me know. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in later for my review of Puccini's Tosca, starring Ludmila Monastrilska, Jorge de Leon, and Serko Lucic, which is shown at the Deutsche Oper Berlin. So until then, have a great day, everybody, and happy Halloween!